Welcome to the Battle Camp. My name is Rahul Jchan. This is the Battle Camp. It is fight week. UFC 259 goes down this Saturday. We got a triple header. We have got 3 title fights this weekend. And I tell you what, I am not trying to be some sort of weirdo hipster when I tell you guys that this is the fight that I'm looking forward to the most. This fight right behind me, Petr Yan against, nearly said Raheem Sterling. Should I start recording this again? No, let's not. Let's not. Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain. Aljo. How can I nearly get his name wrong? I really feel like kicking myself right now, but I won't. Look, Aljamain Sterling is a guy that I've spoken about a few times. And before we start talking about this fight, let's just be honest. Let's have it right, as Frank Warren would say. I have spent the best part of 7 or 8 minutes trying to sort out how this kind of looks, because Aljamain Sterling looks white in this picture. As in, like, when I look at him, you can tell he's black, but because of the way my camera is kind of working and whatnot, it's not very good. I've tried to do something new, because usually, if you're familiar with this channel, I usually have the Battle Camp logo behind me, but I thought, you know what? Let's try something new. Let's try something different. And I've even turned my makeup artist type of light off, because when I turn it on, you see that? You see that? Can you see the difference? Should we leave it on? Should we turn it off? On, off. Anyway, look, this fight itself, right? I've been looking forward to this fight for ages. And just in a nutshell, the reason why I've been looking forward to this fight is, and this is no slight on Petr Yan, he can't control how he won the belt, but I don't really feel like he's been tested by the elite of the elite in the Bantamweight division. And I feel like Aljamain Sterling has had a tough run over his last 4 or 5 fights, and I feel like this is Petr Yan's toughest test, and likewise this may well be Aljamain Sterling's toughest test. The fight itself, it interests me for a couple of reasons. One is just the contrast in styles. So for me, and look, I always say this when I make videos, don't come here expecting expert kind of breakdown, technical analysis, because I'm just a fan, baby. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here trying to tell you guys I'm right. I'm just giving you my opinion, how I perceive things. And like I always say, I'm more than happy to admit if and when I'm proved wrong, which happens quite often, funnily enough. So with this fight, what interests me is the contrast in style of both guys. I've got an itchy nose. So let's look at Petr Yan first and foremost. So Petr Yan is what I would call a very kind of fundamentally sound fighter when it comes to the way he strikes. He doesn't really waste a lot of movement. He when he throws, it's with intent. He's a predominantly southpaw fighter, but he switches stances very well, and he uses his ability to switch stances to maintain a distance where he feels comfortable in being able to land the strikes that I just mentioned. He's very, like, they call him a boxer, but he's got a very good ability to land kicks, like not just kind of leg kicks to set up punches, but kicks to the body, teeps, push kicks, things of that nature. Like, he's got a different variety of striking, and he's got power in both hands. The pressure that I spoke about earlier, he uses his ability. It's like a lot of guys that are known as pressure fighters. They just kind of follow their opponent across the ring to try and kind of land strikes, and they get kind of picked off by half decent counter strikers. The difference with Yan is he's so good at maintaining pressure, covering up, not getting hit kind of with power strikes on his chin, on his face, etc. And he switches stances to help him keep the pressure on, maintain a distance that he feels comfortable in, and land strikes with his limbs that he feels very comfortable using. Aljamain Sterling, on the other hand, is someone that is very unorthodox. He too is a switch hitter, but he's not a conventional kind of striker. Like I said, his footwork, his movement is very unorthodox. The way he kind of puts together combinations, again, is very unorthodox. It's not fundamentally sound the way Yan does it, but it is effective, as we saw in his fight against Cody Sandhagen. Now, Aljamain Sterling, I noticed in this fight against Sandhagen, what kind of surprised me a little bit is the fact that he kind of pushed forward really early on in the fight and kind of threw a flurry of different strikes, and he got the fight into a scramble where he was able to take Sandhagen's back. Now, with Petr Yan, he's also a guy that likes to kind of be on the front foot, take the center of the octagon. So that's what's interesting to me, how the opening exchanges play out. Are they both going to just come meet each other head on at the center of the octagon, and what happens once that takes place? Does that make sense? So in terms of Aljamain Sterling, I'd give him the advantage in being a more well-rounded fighter. Like, obviously he's got a wrestling background, but he's also very effective on the feet. His striking is, like I said, very unorthodox. He'll throw kicks in random places. He'll throw kind of punches in random, like I remember, I think against Rivera, he was just randomly throwing punches to Rivera's thigh. You don't really see things like that very often. Now, in terms of Aljamain Sterling, what I'd worry about if I was just looking at it from Petr Yan's point of view, because he's very fundamentally sound, he's always kind of in a position to throw and always on balance, so he can throw with full power. Aljamain Sterling, on the other hand, because he's so unorthodox, he'll find himself in positions where he's kind of off balance. Well, it seems to me that he's off balance, and his kind of head position ends up in kind of dangerous places. And if you're fighting someone like Petr Yan, who is very good at identifying little gaps in the action to land power strikes, that might be an issue for Petr Yan, for Aljamain Sterling. So, for example, if Aljamain Sterling's coming and throwing one of these unorthodox kicks that leaves his head off to the side, that's an invitation for a knee to the jaw. That's an invitation to just get kicked in the head by Petr Yan. On the other hand, Petr Yan, I don't know if he's ever fought anyone like Aljamain Sterling. I don't know whether he's ever faced anyone with the unconventional style as Sterling, with someone that has the ability to mix it up the way Sterling does, someone that has a wrestling ability of Sterling, someone that has the jiu-jitsu of Sterling, someone that has the variety or the style of striking like Sterling. And because of that, I don't know whether Yan will be able to land these strikes that I've been talking about, these power strikes on Aljamain Sterling. So this is why this is the fight that I'm looking forward to the most, because you can see strengths in both guys, and you can see how both guys can take advantage of their own strengths against their opponent. Right, so from an Aljamain Sterling point of view, I can see him landing at will, because he's the guy that doesn't throw with full power all the time. And Yan, although I mentioned that he's quite good at covering up, etc., he does get hit. Do you know what I mean? He does get hit. So it's not like he's this master kind of guy with a lot of being able to. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, no. So look at that, man. This happens all the time now. For it actually makes me look better, though. It looks like I've got a filter on. But I don't know why that always happens. I need to speak to the IT guy at work and say, why does your laptop keep timing out while I'm trying to make my YouTube videos? But let's persevere. Let's crack on. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. Like I was talking about Petr Yan and his ability to put pressure on his opponent, but because he stays in that pocket and puts pressure on, he does get hit. It's the fact that he covers up, and he doesn't seem like he gets hurt when he gets hit. Does that make sense? Like it's like a calculated risk that he plays, a calculated, what's the right word? Maybe risk is the right word, but you know what I mean? It's like a calculated movement that he does. So in terms of Aljamain Sterling, you know, he could find himself in a position where he's able to hurt Petr Yan, or he's able to get in a position where he can start grappling and leave Petr Yan compromised on the ground, etc., etc. By way of prediction, like when this fight was announced, I was quite confident that Aljamain Sterling is going to win. And the more I think about things, and the more I kind of consider both of their strengths and weaknesses, that confidence has gone down a little bit. But at the same time, I still think Aljamain Sterling is at the sweet spot in his career in terms of experience, in terms of facing adversity, in terms of losing previous fights, and in terms of growing from those losses, learning from those losses. I'm not 100% convinced when I make this prediction, but I think we'll see a brand new bantamweight champion on Saturday night. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens via a decision or late submission. Having said that, Aljamain Sterling has got to be very, very, very smart during this fight and avoid not getting lost in his own sauce. And what I mean by that is I could envision him having success, landing throughout the fight, and then starting to feel himself a little bit more and being a bit more expressive and taking more risk in trying to land on Yan. And that and in doing that, him exposing himself and being landed on by Petr Yan, if that makes sense. He needs to be able to, it's a very kind of fine line, it's a balancing act. He needs to be able to be his normal unorthodox self without putting himself in compromising positions where he risks being hit. And that sounds quite obvious to say that, but there's opponents in that division where Aljamain Sterling can take more risks against. But because Petr Yan is such a good striker and he's got power in both hands and both legs, he's got to take less risks against Petr Yan. So I'm not 100% confident when I say this. I was looking at the odds, and both fighters are 10-9. So you put £9 down, you get £10 back, but they're both exactly the same odds. That's how close the odds makers see it. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, I have a feeling a lot of people are going for Petr Yan or predicting that Yan's going to win. Personally, maybe I'm just a fan of Aljamain Sterling, which is influencing my prediction, but I'm going to stick with it. I think Petr Yan, Aljamain Sterling, Freudian slip. I think Aljamain Sterling wins this fight. Let me know what you guys think. Please comment below. Let me know what you think of my expert fucking analysis. Let me know what you guys think about my screen disappearing halfway through this video. Let me know what you guys think. Just give me your opinions about the fight. Who do you think wins? How excited are you about this fight? If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend, like it, all of that good stuff. Also subscribe to these videos in podcast format, so whatever podcast platform you use, all of the links are in the description below. Finally, if you go to my actual kind of channel, you'll see a section that I've got up there called the Battle Cap Conversations, where I speak to different people. I've spoken to John Morgan, I've spoken to John Gooden, I've spoken to John Hathaway, all of the Johns. I've spoken to quite a variety of people, and I do encourage you guys to check it out, because I enjoyed those conversations. I enjoyed being part of those conversations, and I hope you guys will enjoy listening to them. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next video.